Hello, I'm Alyson Le Grange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global South. Join me every weekday live on First Post. Hello and welcome to Firstpost Africa, where we get you the top stories from the continent and from across the world. I'm Alyson Le Grange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. First, let's take a look at the headlines. Israel pushes on with a major military offensive in Gaza City, forcing thousands of Palestinians to evacuate, while new truce talks are due to begin in Doha. NATO leaders gather in Washington, D.C. for a three-day summit to show support for Ukraine. The allies are expected to announce historic aid for Kiev. In a direct appeal on the Ukraine war, Indian Prime Minister says territorial integrity must be respected as he meets Russian President Putin in Moscow. Severe flooding in Bangladesh sweeps away homes and displaces over 40,000, while forecasters suggest heavy rainfall over the next few days, which could worsen the situation. And Liberian President Joseph Boakai announces a 40% cut to his salary amid scrutiny of government salaries as the country battles an economic crisis. Hello and welcome. We begin with Kenya, where the leader of a Doomsday cult has been put on trial on charges of terrorism. The self-proclaimed pastor, Paul Mackenzie, is under trial for the deaths of over 400 of his followers. He, along with 94 other co-defendants, appeared in a court in Mombasa as they face charges of murder, manslaughter, torture, and child abuse. Last year, the Doomsday cult made headlines across the world after it came to be known as one of the worst cult-related massacres. Mackenzie, who was arrested in April last year, allegedly incited his followers to starve to death in order to meet Jesus. It was a tip-off that prompted the Kenyan authorities to search an 800-acre estate of Mackenzie's organization in the vast Shakahola forest in eastern Kenya's Malindi. The authorities first recovered 4 bodies. Digging up more, the area turned out to be a mass grave. The remains of more than 440 people have been discovered and exhumed so far. Autopsies carried out on 100 victims determined that the majority had died of starvation. But some, including children, had been strangled, beaten, or suffocated. Court documents also reported that certain bodies had their organs removed. Only a small percentage of the victims have been identified and returned to their families. The incident was dubbed the Shakahola Forest Massacre. It is alleged that Mackenzie had set up an enforcer gang that was tasked with ensuring that no one broke their fast or left the forest hideout alive. Alongside him, 54 men and 40 women are also accused of the charges, but they all have pleaded not guilty. Hearings in the trial that began on Monday are due to run until the 11th of July and again from the 22nd to the 25th of July. A separate hearing in the manslaughter case is due to start in August. Prosecutors say they plan to call about 90 witnesses to testify, as well as show physical and digital evidence. Paul Mackenzie, a former taxi driver turned preacher, has had a history of extremism. In 2003, he set up his church but closed it and moved to Shakahola, what is deemed as an uninhabitable town. The massacre has raised questions on Kenya's law enforcement, on how Mackenzie managed to evade the law despite his prominent profile and previous legal cases. Kenyan human rights watchdog has said that the authorities could have avoided the massacre. They were slow to react to the rumors. Kenya's Interior Minister had last year accused the police of laxity in investigating the initial reports of starvation. In the aftermath, all security officers who were working in the coastal region were transferred. Kenyan President William Ruto also set up a commission of inquiry to review the regulations governing religious bodies. Shifting focus now to the Democratic Republic of Congo. As per reports, the raging war between DRC military and the M23 rebels has come to a halt due to a 2-week truce. However, the DRC continues to sentence its soldiers for fleeing the enemy. A military court has sentenced 22 soldiers to death for fleeing the M23 rebels. 16 soldiers were handed death sentences in one case, and 6 others in a separate case in the volatile North Kivu province in the east. Now, just last week, a court sentenced 25 soldiers to death in a similar sentence. These sentences have been handed down as M23 rebels managed to seize significant territories on the northern front of the conflict. By the end of last week, they took control of strategic towns in the province. Over the past several years, they have taken control of significant areas, including Goma, the provincial capital of North Kivu. The fighting has killed scores of people and displaced hundreds of thousands more. Now, M23, or the March 23 movement, was formed in 2012 to defend the interests of the ethnic group Tutsis against Hutu militias. The rebels broke away from the Congolese army, accusing the government of failing to integrate Tutsis. However, the troops were defeated in 2013 and a peace agreement was signed. But the group again resurged in 2021, and since then it has given a tough fight to the DRC forces. The group's expansion has long been linked to foreign government support, specifically by neighbor Rwanda and Uganda in the east. In the latest, the United Nations has accused both the nations of providing support to the rebels. As per the UN report, the Ugandan army provided support to the group, while some 3,000 to 4,000 Rwandan soldiers fought alongside them in the eastern DRC. Uganda has denied involvement, saying it is cooperating closely with the Congolese government forces. Both Rwanda and Uganda have common interests in eastern DRC, as they see eastern DRC as a source of insecurity. Rwanda sees a group called the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, or the FDLR, as a threat. It reportedly perceives the Congolese state as incapable and or unwilling to eliminate it. Meanwhile, Uganda is collaborating with DRC Army to fight against another rebel group called the ADF. However, at the same time, Uganda is accused of supporting the M23, which is fighting the DRC Army. Both nations also have strategic interests in the DRC, which is a resource-rich nation. Despite the DRC's and observers' allegations, both the nations deny their involvement in the Democratic Republic of Congo's conflict with the M23. As per reports, a 2-week humanitarian truce between Kinshasa and the M23 rebels began on Friday. The international community has expressed hope of permanent ceasefire. Moving on to some culinary adventure. Just a week ago, Ebenezer Smith, a chef from Ghana, made headlines across Africa. He claimed to have broken the Guinness World Record for the longest cooking marathon. Now, his incredible feat supposedly lasted a whopping 802 hours and 25 minutes, which is more than a month. He claimed to have surpassed the previous record. To mark his feat, the Ghanaian chef held a press conference where he proudly displayed the record's plaque. In that moment, Smith's achievement seemed to be a historic moment, not just for Ghana, but for the entire continent of Africa. There was buzz and excitement all over social media, with users congratulating the chef for his record and for making Ghana proud. Now, within a few days, another video of Ghanaian chef Ebenezer Smith is going viral on social media. In this one, Chef Smith is seen on his knees and in tears while tending an apology. Why? Because all of his claims were fake. As more and more people came out to congratulate Ebenezer Smith on his achievement, the Guinness World Record busted his lies, ending his claim to fame. Doubts began to surface when queries to the Guinness World Record went unanswered. This had cast a shadow of uncertainty over Chef Smith's claim, giving rise to speculations about the authenticity of the certificate. So Guinness World Records came out to set it all straight. As the controversy unfolded, the chef found himself in hot water. He was detained by the authorities for failing to uphold his commitment to the sponsors of the cookathon. His false announcement and the exposure by Guinness World Records triggered a vicious backlash from fans who had initially congratulated him on social media. According to him, he embarked on his bogus cookathon in a desperate attempt to make quick money. Now, the Guinness World Records has deactivated the cooking marathon category on its website. The message on the website states, and I quote, "This record is currently inactive and no applications are being accepted for it," unquote. So now, the official record for the longest cooking marathon by an individual remains with Alan Fisher of Ireland, whose cookathon lasted an impressive 119 hours, 57 minutes and 16 seconds. Prior to Fisher, Nigeria's Hilda Bachi held the record for 93 hours and 11 minutes of continuous cooking, showcasing the unwavering determination of culinary enthusiasts worldwide. And finally, to our special segment, Resurgence Africa. Amid reports of coups and crises that dominate the headlines from the continent, we get you positive stories that often get overlooked. Now, in an inspiring twist, Nigerians are rolling up their sleeves and saving their own mangroves. In the lively shanty town of Bundu, residents are turning the tide by restoring one of the nation's most crucial and endangered ecosystems. They are proving that community power can make a real difference. Our final report gets you all the details.
In the country of Nigeria lies a shanty town called Bundu. Here, a group of dedicated individuals have become stewards of the earth. They don't receive monthly cash payments. Instead, they shall reap rewards in the future. These residents of Bundu are tirelessly working to restore the mangroves, one of Nigeria's most valuable yet severely damaged ecosystems. This network of trees forms a crucial barrier against tides and serves as a sanctuary for wildlife. Rather than waiting for government intervention, locals have taken matters into their own hands, embarking on a mission to revive the mangroves. So far, around 30 residents have been trained in restoration work. This happened with the help of an NGO. It focuses on training community leaders who then pass on their skills to others. According to the Global Mangrove Watch Monitoring Program, Nigeria had over 8,000 square kilometers of mangrove forest in 2020. Between 1996 and 2020, the country lost over 160 square kilometers of mangroves. It's equivalent to about 2% of the total area, or more than 22,000 football fields. These lush green mangroves face numerous threats. Primarily, pollution from the multinational oil industry operating in the region. Residents report that oil spills have devastated the area. These spills occur frequently due to poor pipeline maintenance and vandalism. Over the past 5 years, the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency has recorded over 300 spills in Nigeria, mostly in the Niger Delta.
The whole of this place, you see oil. It's settled here. All these living fishes, crabs, everything die.
Other threats include illegal logging, waste dumping and urban expansion. Additionally, the spread of nipa palms poses a significant challenge.
Not the Allah, which is mangrove, to grow.
Because there's no fish. Because nipa palm is taken everywhere. That was making me to plant the mangrove here, so that the fish will still come back for us, so long as the water is flowing.
Unlike mangroves, nipa palms do not provide shelter for fish, further disrupting the ecosystem. But why are mangroves so essential? Well, they're like biodiversity hotspots. Their extensive root systems underwater serve as nurseries for juvenile fish, while the parts above water offer shelter to various bird species.
That's a safe haven for fish. Not only fish, all the coastal organisms. The birds, they come there because it's a feeding, breeding, nesting ground for all manner of organisms. So that place is very important for them.
Moreover, these trees protect nearby areas from coastal erosion, storms and flooding, hence acting as a natural shield against climate change.
If mangrove no dey, you go see.
Without mangroves, floodwaters will enter our homes, especially when the tide is high. Floodwater would cover our houses. So, mangroves help subdue storms by preventing water from entering our homes and also help our fishing activities and many other things.
Subdues all those water we go follow enter our house. The mangrove.
Thanks to the timely actions of the locals, the restoration efforts are underway. Without their intervention, the region might have turned into an open field. If humans can destroy, they can also restore. The people of Bunju have taken a crucial step. But the question is, will others be as fortunate?
And that's it on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother Earth, one tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.
Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. My name is Utsav Parekh and here are the